This is going to be my first video I will make. I'm going to be looking at making a lot more videos to talk over how to play League of Legends, just some game breakdowns that I play in my ranked queue. In this game, I'm playing Zac Jungle against a Lee Sin in high platinum, low diamond, getting matched with diamond 4s and diamond 3s. I have a top lane Darius, a mid Katarina, a bot Jinx, and a support Thresh against a Camille top, Ahri mid, Jhin ADC, and Rakan support. Before we spawn in here, we already know since I'm playing Zac, I'm going to be building Hunter's Talisman, as it increases the AoE clear efficiency of junglers, but you only build that on junglers with an AoE ability, for in this example, Zac's E and Zac's W. Since this is the first game I'm going to be ever recording, this is all off the top of my head, and I'm just winging it. They will be better the more I do. What we're doing here is, so we buy a jungle item and our potion to keep us healthy through our jungle clear. We've made the decision here. Our top laner has called invade onto their bot side, as we have very big pick potential with the Thresh hook, the Zac knock up, and the Darius pull. So what we're going to do is we're going to push forwards. We're going to have Zac in front as well as Thresh, except Thresh is slightly behind position. We have an early ward here so we can see if they're in the bush so we can hook them even when we're out of vision. We see Jhin. Jhin here steps up and ruins the plan. I miss my E going in because he's out of range. We see Thresh greeting for this kill. Gets the flash hook. We're going to give the kill over to the mid laner, Katarina, which puts her at a 350, I think 400 gold lead as its first blood, which is a really good way to get our team ahead. Okay, so what happens here is I back straight away. Instead of greeting to keep their camps, to kill their raptors or their Krugs, whatnot, instead I recall because I know their team's still going to be lurking. As we see here, we see Lee Sin still watching for the bush, meaning if we stay there will be another fight. And we don't want to take another fight as they have the better positioning on the map, better respawns, better team management. Instead, I'm going to recall. I'm going back to base, and I look, right, since I got an assist on the first blood, I only get 50 gold, and the 50 gold means I can't buy anything, so I don't worry about it. Instead, as a jungler, especially as a gank-heavy jungler, so Zac, perfect example, Jarvan, good example, Nunu is also a very good example of a gank jungler, which is easy to pick up, so is Warwick. Sorry. I buy a sweepers here. Sweepers will allow me to walk into lanes. For example, as Zac, I clear my top side. I clear my top side for level 3, but Sweepers lets me walk through this area and these bushes plus this river bush without being seen by wards as it disables them. Meaning, if my mid lane plays correctly and sets it up for me, I can come through this bush while sweeping, so I'm not being seen by wards, and get an early gank outside of vision, even if they have it warded. It's a very strong early ganking tool. Plus, junglers buy it anyway later on in the game, so I prefer to get it early. You'll see me in other matches or other pointers I give out. I recommend warding this bush. This is called a pixel bush if you're starting your blue side, so you can see if the enemy does rotate from their top side through the river and up to take your top side. So we see our mid laner gets the kill, and I'm walking back to take my red side. I asked my Darius here to give me a strong leash as I started E, which is a subpar ability to start with Zac for killing camps. And while that's happening, bot laners already know, I didn't have to say anything, that I want them to fake leash my blue buff. Meaning they sit around, they don't go into lane, they don't show until my Darius stops leashing me and shows in lane. Meaning their jungler still thinks I'm starting bot side. So our bot lane is now walking to lane as I kill the red buff we see here. And my Darius also heads into lane. We are here, we make sure we path on Zac, we like to path from red to Krugs. Usually, you want to start W, so your clear is quicker, as it does percentage health damage. And then you want to go into E, so you can jump this wall, which reduces your overall clear time, meaning you can be bot lane for the gank quicker. But however, since I started E and my cooldowns are longer, I had to path around. Next thing I want to point out here is how I smited the Krogs. Sorry, I smited the big Krog. Smiting the big Krog is very important as a jungler as it increases your clear speed. Because Big Krog has a lot of resist and a lot of health, smiting it for 410 true damage in the early game drastically increases your clear speed. It allows you to wipe the camp faster, plus when you smite jungle camps, they give you health back, no matter what you smite, meaning your clear is now healthier and quicker. Smiting this Krog, since Krogs take the longest to kill out of every other objective, like every other jungle camp, it's important to smite the big one, not the small one, even though that's possible. We see me slowly killing the Krogs. We have our top laners, all the other lanes are doing normal things. If we were thinking ahead, when we invaded, we would have placed a ward in this bush or in this bush, meaning we can track their jungler better. However, since I started my top side, I'm assuming, and they know I started my top side, they know this because our Darius showed even later than our bot laners. So, we know that Lee Sin knows I'm starting topside, which means he doesn't have a reason to start his blue buff. He would start blue buff if he reckons I was starting my blue, so he could invade me across the river to take my camps. Instead, we just keep clearing, we full clear, us killing wolves into blue buff. I believe I go straight then to Crab in skipping Gromp, since Gromp is the slowest camp for Zac to clear, as it's single target. Look at mid lane, Ahri. Their Ahri is fairly even though our Katarina is up 300 gold, because Katarina didn't actually go back to base to spend her lead. Instead, she just goes straight to lane to force fights after a level, and she picks up a free kill, which is very good. Back to watching the jungle. So we know Lee Sin went top, meaning he's going to be on the top crab. I start fighting the top crab. I see my Katarina asking for assistance here. So what I do here, I leave the crab and I path upwards towards her. My rotate was a bit late, but I was there nonetheless. And instead, I kill the crab by smiting it to get extra health back because I know my bot lane's going to fight. I sweep the bush to make sure there's no wards while I stack up with Cat. And as my Thresh walks up, I walk in. He hits a good hook here. I chain it together. If we watch here, I'm going to pause that. Can I go back? I'm not really sure how to use this league replay system properly. But, I've gone back a little bit here. But what we see is Thresh walks up here, as well as Jinx, to catch these guys off guard. We're making this a 4v2. We see Thresh. Thresh lands the hook, right? Except Rakan is a character who has high mobility, meaning he's either going to dash with his W, or he's going to dash to his teammate with his E. So what I do is I come in and I path along this wall side so that I cut off their exit along here instead of walking straight at them, meaning they'll be here by the time I get here. So I walk behind them and I charge up my E and I wait as Thresh double pulls until his pull cancels and the Rakan dashes. I use my E, my slingshot, to predict where his dash is going to land, meaning we get a free knock up here. So he watch me path down following the wall, double chat, and I predict where his dash is going to be. Lets us get an easy kill here. Okay, next. We get the easy kill, and we see our two teammates super deep underneath their turret. Since it's an early game turret, it doesn't actually show us here, but turrets have an item which increases their damage pre-10 minutes by like 50%, meaning you absolutely get chunked for your HP. And what I do instead, right, because Zac has a passive where he doesn't actually die when he dies. On a cooldown, that is. It's like Guardian's Angel. It lets him respawn. Meaning, while my teammates are diving for the double kill, I sit here and tank the turret. And I tank as much damage as I possibly can so that these guys, while they're killing, don't get aggro by the turret. And instead, I still have it. Meaning, these guys are safe underneath the turret. And we see here, I take the last turret shot, which splits me into my passive. And these guys are directly straight out of turret range. Meaning we pick up a free double kill here for no expense at all, apart from a few summoner spells. We have Katarina's, Jinx's, and Thresh's Flash. Which gives us a very big gold lead, as we see here. We're now 5-1 off the early game invade as a team, and a very well coordinated bot lane turret dive. This is done in solo queue without any voice comms at all, which means it is possible to play well in a scenario where you don't specifically get along with your teammates. My back here, so I have 1 kill, 2 assists. I back here with a lot of gold. I back him by a Balmy Cinder, which increases my clear of my camps, because Zack's an AoE jungler, and the Balmy Cinder also does AoE, meaning my clear becomes significantly faster. These guys greed for the kills here, and I believe... Oh, they don't die. That's surprising. So I buy a Balmy Cinder to make sure I can have my faster clear while walking towards my jungle item. You see me in this top lane. Sorry, I sort of missed it. But what happens here is my Darius dies. So he's 1 and 2 now. My Darius dies, and so the enemy creep wave was crashing under the turret. And since I was pathing top anyway to clear my Krugs and my Raptors, I just go straight into the top lane to pick up a massive wave of CS, because CS is worth more, gives more XP and more gold than jungle camps. That's just how the game's currently balanced. But we see me just defaulting back into a full rotation, as we don't have the position to do Dragon, Herald isn't up, and neither of the crabs are up. So I just keep clearing my jungle, making sure I'm maxing E on my level ups, so that my gank's potential is a lot stronger, as each point I put into my E, my Elastic Slingshot, the distance is increased. Okay, so what happens here is my mid laner gets into a fight. He gets ganked by the Lee Sin, and I was not going to get there originally, but I path down anyway in case she does escape. So I get into lane, which stops the Ahri from shoving it under, but also, if Katarina was to survive somehow, I'll be there to back her up. But instead she goes down, so I just continue to path back into my jungle. I want to see where the Lee Sin goes here. It's important to track the enemy jungler. We see the enemy jungler walking down towards the bot side, and I ping him. I ask for a lot of help. I go in, I get the knock up into the pool. That right there is very important. It's a very important mechanic to learn on Zack. So his Q lets you hook onto 2 targets and pull them together. What happens is I land my first pull onto the Lee Sin who's here. If I go back a second, if we watch carefully here, I go in, I get this knock up, I hook him here. So I just hooked him. But then, what I do, I see, what can I hook him to? Because I need a second target. I could attack this ward. I can attack this. And I can attack this Scryers. And I can attack the Honey Fruit. But however, they're all practically the same distance away. And since he was pathing into my jungle already, I assumed he was going to keep pathing that way. But instead, he dashes backwards. But it doesn't matter because I get to the plant instead. So instead of chasing, I just go straight to the plant because I want the pull. So I go for the pull. I get the pull here, which, importantly, cancels him out of his ward hop dash. He tries to dash away from the Thresh into this ward here that he places. But instead, I hook him mid-dash, forcing him into the wall where he can't move as he's now stunned, which lets Thresh easily catch up for the flash hook. But he wouldn't have had to flash hook if Lee Sin didn't flash here. That flash was a poor decision, as he was going to die anyway. But since picking this Scrying Orb was the decision that was best in my head at the time, except if I knew he was going to flash, or if I knew he had flash, I would have walked to this Honey Fruit so I can pull him against that, meaning he wouldn't have gained this much distance away from my Thresh, who was still down here. So we pick up this free kill, and I zone off their Ahri. We see our bot lane is still fighting, but there's nothing I can do here. Again, what happens is, I can't kill Ahri, and Ahri can't kill me, because she's a low-level, zero-item mage, and I'm a tank with no cooldowns. So this is nothing to worry about. While we have our bot laners fighting, Ahri and I, want to get into this fight and help. However, we can't, because if Ahri uses her ult, I keep her in place with my E, which is the knock-up. However, if I try to use my E to catch up and to engage, Ahri's just going to charm me, which means we're sitting in this stalemate where no one can do anything. So instead, we're both pathing down, and I smack her a few times to make sure I take away some HP so I'm not wasting my time, while these guys still fight. I use my E over the wall, I miss, but that's okay. I use my ult as well, just to zone off. I miss again, but that wasn't the point of my ult. My ult was to stop the engage onto my low HP Thresh, with the full HP Ahri, who has ult here. So, since we got the 2 easy kills, their jungler died and is on the reset back to lane, we get a free dragon. We have mid advantage, because our mid laner is zoning, and we have bot lane advantage, as we're forcing 2 resets here. Meaning, this dragon is free. If we look here, Lee Sin hits a Q onto the dragon. He has the potential to smite away this dragon from me, and to take it. This does 510. Oh, it actually shows. Okay. So, smite scales with level, and since I'm level 6, and Lee Sin's level 5, my smite does 510 true damage, we see on the indicator, while Lee Sin's smite does 480. Meaning, I have the advantage of taking this smite in a 50-50 fight. Except it's not a 50-50 fight, because I have 4 of my teammates around. In this position, in this scenario, if I was Lee Sin, this is where you leave. You do not take this dragon. It is only the first dragon in the game, meaning it's not crazily important, and it's only going to set you down a little bit, less than a kill. Instead, he gets aggressive and wants the dragon, so he Qs it, and then we see him go in for the steal. As he goes for the steal here, he goes in, and we see Thresh flay him away, which puts him into a stun. We see he smites it early, which leaves me to kill it. So I killed the dragon, and we see our team instantly turn on to the Lee Sin, who is now hooked by the Thresh. Which leaves us to an easy 4v1 kill here. Meaning we got the dragon, and now 3 kills for, I believe, no deaths at all. Putting us well ahead of the enemy team, as we see in this gold lead. We see I back now, I finish my jungle item, and buying a control ward. You should always buy control wards, especially in jungle and support, as you need to control the map for vision, to track the enemy jungler, to track rotates, and just to find the positioning of the enemies. A important discussion is, when you're jungling, to go either red smite or blue smite. And by that I mean, say this is called Stalker's Blade, where the other one's called Skirmisher's Blade. And they do 2 separate things. Skirmisher's Blade, so red smite, reduces the amount of damage dealt by the person you smite to you by 20%. Meaning, putting it on a fighting jungler who relies on the 1v1 or the early skirmishes, the 1v2 or the 2v2s and whatnot, like for example Olaf and Jarvan, having that 20% damage reduction while dealing damage to the enemy puts you ahead by default, meaning you already win compared to if they had a blue smite. We see me lining up a engage here. The Darius hits a hook, and for some reason Camille can still do that. She dashes away through my stun. But that's okay, I was there to help Darius get a kill. If that was any other character, she would have died. Back to what I was saying. Skirmishes also increases damage, as it has a burn passive. It has an inbuilt red buff onto the item itself, which not only does it have a reduction in damage for the enemy, but increases your damage to the person you smited. Whereas the blue smite, so Stalker's Blade, when you smite, it only, shown in the tooltip here, it reduces enemy movement speed by 20% for 2 seconds. Meaning, on characters like Zac, when I've used all my CC and someone gets away, or I'm just out of range for an ability, I can use my smite to make sure that I can catch up and secure the damage. Okay, so what we see here is we've killed the enemy mid laner. I've tried to gank top, and top's pushed in. We have a dead mid lane, so we have mid advantage and top advantage, and their jungler's bot side, as we see him on a ward in a quick second. Meaning, this top objective is absolutely free. Because my Darius passed down to help, and my Katarina comes up to help me kill this. The Rift Herald is a very important early game objective, and it should be targeted, especially by the jungler. So, we see us clear this Rift Herald while our bot lane looks for a fight, applying some pressure, securing that Lee Sin stays bot side. Which gives this gives us this objective for free. And I think, where can I use this? Well, my top lane's behind. I might as well use the top. We see, okay, what happened here? My top lane teleports bot to help with this fight. A good decision, because I can help clear the wave, because I'm not getting down there. We see Camille walked over this ward So what goes through my mind is she's pathing down to either defend the mid from the pushing Katarina or to path down for this fight. And so what happens is I go, I can get a turret here. So I shove the wave, I use my abilities to make sure the clear happens. And I go, I can use the Rift Herald I just got on this turret. Which would secure us this turret if Camille kept pathing down. And instead, she paths down this way. So I'm seeing her. And I think she goes bot, so I use Herald. And then she turns around and she comes up the other side away from our ward. Meaning, I completely wasted Herald. And I think, I might be able to take her here. I'm caught. I'm not getting away anyway. So I decide to fight. I use my ult. I use everything I have while Herald charges and get some turret plate. So I get some gold here. And she kills me into my passive. I wasn't going to win that. However, she's slow to kill my blobs, which puts me back up. I stand. I full combo her. And you see my Aftershock procs. I Q her for the damage. I hit the Q. But it doesn't matter because she has true damage through my Aftershock. Because Camille has true damage on her second Q. So she uppercuts me and cuts me straight in half for 200 true damage, killing me. If she didn't have her Q, or was any other character, she would have died there. But since I died and used Herald on not much, she gets a significant advantage over me, which was a misplay by my decision making. I should have just left. So instead, I have to sit out the death timer, and we can talk about what I buy. So since I've bought my jungle item, my core item, I look, boots are next. And I go, what boots should I be buying here? I have two decisions. I either go armor boots, so I go ninja tabbies, or I go magic resist boots to ensure I have, if we see here, it gives us 30% reduction on stuns, slows, taunt spheres, silencers, blinds, polymorphs, and immobilizers. A very important item to get if you don't have runes that reduce CC on you. So I look, well, do I need armor? Camille does true damage. Lee Sin does normal damage, which, yes, armor boots would be good here. Magic damage, don't need that. Armor boots would be very good here. Magic damage, don't need that. So I go, well, I'm not getting much value since it's only Jhin and Lee Sin. But Jhin and Lee Sin aren't going to be attacking me anyway. That's not their jobs. They'll be killing everybody else. So I go, what else? What else? So I look for CC. Camille has a slight knock-up. Doesn't really affect her. Lee Sin doesn't have any CC for me to immobilize. Ahri has a charm, which is good because I'll be in the front line absorbing damages and abilities. So it works well here. Jhin has a root and a few slows. That's good. Rakan has a knock-up and a charm, which is good here. So they have 3 forms of CC, meaning it's a definite Mercury's Treads game. And that's the decision making that went through my mind to purchase those boots. Okay, so since my top laner died, this is the next thing. Top lane isn't doing well this game. And a tip as a jungler, don't gank losing lanes, because it will put you behind as well. And instead, you see me most of the game come bot side for fights and play around mid lane, so I can secure objectives. But since my top lane dies again, I go, okay, dragon's up. And the Lee Sin showed top lane to kill our top laner, so we take the dragon naturally as a trade for the kill and the first turret. Oh, well, the kill and the turret, sorry. We get the dragon. However, Katarina goes up and kills both of them anyway, meaning they don't even get the turret. So we get a free dragon and 2 kills for our top laner who's already feeding, so he's worth less gold. So, since we did that, we group mid to push to try to get this mid turret. But they have Ahri and Rakan here, so we're not going to get much. I go back to clearing my jungle. Okay, so we see this mid fight breaking up. We're looking for this turret. As my team pushes, I sit in a bush looking for an engage. I start charging my E for this fight. And I look, and I go straight in and I miss because the Jhin flashes away. I didn't have my E earlier because I used it trying to charge up looking for an earlier engage. And since it goes on a cooldown, if I don't use it, it was on cooldown. So we go and we get this free kill on Lee Sin, who's currently overgreeding for a lot of kills, which he shouldn't be. He's fallen into a state where he's become useless. For an early game jungler, as soon as the early game jungler falls behind, he becomes even more useless in the late. Okay, we see our top lanes fighting. And so naturally, we go, we're not getting this mid turret, and bot lane's already pushed, and there's no objectives up, we should go up and help. So all 4 of us path up to help this top lane. I charge my E and hit a knock up here. I hook her in, and I use my W into the ult. She dashes away, but I flash to land the last bounce to make sure she dies. Putting deaths onto this Camille, putting her behind in XP and CS, because that's what you miss when you die, will put her... It will stunt her growth. It will reduce the amount she can snowball this game. But while I was killing her, Ahri was rotating up to help. Instead, she gets... Is this hook? I can't actually see. Oh no, she doesn't get hooked, and Thresh misses, so she gets away with some free damage. But that's okay. As we path back down to stop the mid push, we walk over a ward here, and so they back off to make sure they don't die. Meaning we come out overall on top with an objective, a kill, and an objective and 2 kills for our top laner's death, which is an overall benefit. Since we have nothing to do, we got no objectives to clear, we got no lanes to shove, and we have people already defending mid, I go back to clearing my jungle. It's important to make sure your big camps, so your blue and your red, as well as your Raptors and Gromp. Raptors, Gromp, and Krugs are killed as much as you can, because they're the camps that give the most XP and the most gold. Apart from Scuttle Crabs, but they're, yes, classified as an objective. So I kill my camps, and I path towards topside, because I know Camille's respawning, and she's going to want this wave. So I path up, I sweep the bushes to make sure that I'm not walking over any wards. And here I wait with Darius. We're looking for a kill here. Camille's going to want to fight this because she's ahead. We see she steps up, she ults me. She starts to get away, but I pull her in here into the Darius pool, and I get the knock up, which is very important. We then smite her to reduce her movement speed. Okay. What happens here is she gets a burst of movement speed from using, I believe, her Q. However, I smite her with my blue smite, which we talked about earlier, which reduces her movement speed, meaning she's now slower than she was, which gets rid of her escape tool, meaning we pick up a free kill and a free turret. Right now, we are now 3-1-5 to the enemy's 0-5-3. By just picking a better character and by positioning and playing for objectives around the map, we come out on top, forcing a great lead between the junglers, meaning we can then force that lead onto some other teammates. We see... So, right, what's happening now is we've killed their top, sorry, and their jungle's nowhere to be seen. And so, we pick up the second Rift Herald of the game. We have complete domination over the objectives. If you can get objective control, even if you're behind as a jungler, it puts you ahead in the long run. Because objectives are a very important part of League of Legends and should be focused. I see there's nowhere for me to drop this Herald right now, so instead I recall and I back. And I shop. I buy Warmog's armor. On Zac, and many tanks right now in the jungle, you buy your jungle item, so your Stalker's Blade or your Skirmisher's Blade, Cinder Hulk, and then you either build Warmog's armor, or you go Gargoyle Stoneplate. They're both situational. By that I mean you build one or the other depending on how the game's going first. You build both of them. The order goes jungle item, Warmogs, Gargoyles, or jungle item, Gargoyles, Warmogs. Except you build boots somewhere in there wherever it's necessary, whenever it's like acceptable with your gold. So I buy Warmogs here because I go, none of them have anti-heal. They have nothing to stop my Warmogs from giving me health back. They have 3 ignites though, but that isn't really going to do much since they don't have any reliable anti-heal. Your Executioner's Calling and your Morellonomicon or your Bramble's Vest. They don't have any of those 3 items. Meaning, Warmogs with its health regen is free for me to pick up, which increases my health, and that in combined with my Aftershock will make me extremely tanky in teamfights. Whereas, if they had anti-heal, or somebody with anti-heal built into their kit, I would go Gargoyle or Stoneplate, which, when we fight, would increase my health by 60%, I believe, and increase my size by 3 times. Also increasing my armors by, I think, 40, but don't quote me on that. So, if we went Gargoyles Stoneplate when we dived in for team fights, I would then use my Gargoyles, I would use the active, which would give me stats equivalent, if not more, to Warmog's armor plus boots, making it a super strong early game item, especially against Greaves. Sorry, what's it called? Grievous Wounds, as it completely ignores the debuff it applies, as it flat increases your HP due to the item. We see, in this game right here, so, I path towards bot side in this scenario. We see our top side coming up, and our top side is watered, meaning it would be safe to clear. But not only is there a fight happening here I want to get to, dragons coming up. Except we end up losing this fight badly, just due to poor positioning and lack of vision. So we die here, meaning I can't actually pick up this dragon, as it's now a 2v5 as our teammates completely died. So instead of killing the dragon, I want to secure vision. We have a pink ward, and we have a pink ward here. We also have a regular ward here, meaning we can see them go to dragon, but we want to see if they're actually attacking it. So I kill the scuttle crab to ensure we have vision, which also takes away some of their money, some of their possible income. So we stop them getting dragon, and then we look. Jhin and Arya overextended here, so we get a double knock up into my ult, giving us free reign over this fight here. I agreed to keep Jhin dead, while Darius tries to 1v2 the mid lane and the support. But instead, we come out with only 1 kill, but still, it puts us ahead, which reduces the amount of pressure and amount of potential they have for killing the dragon. Right here, this is a interesting fight. We see Ahri actually left from mid, left the area where she can get to the fight, and instead, Rakan also backs. We see Rakan backing. So we chase Camille, so we can 2v1 her for a quick second before Lee Sin jumps in. But you might be thinking, a 2v2, right? That could go either way, except it actually can't. Even though my Darius is really low in score, I'm very ahead. On top of that, if we kill Camille first, if we focus all our damage on Camille, she's not going to be able to deal any damage because she's going to die before Lee Sin can actually do anything because he's really behind. So Darius has a kit. When he gets a few auto attacks in, he can use his ultimate ability to do a bunch of true damage to insta-kill the Camille, who is going to be low on health after my combo and some of Darius's auto attacks and Qs. So we see, we attack Camille. They line up for a double as we see Lee Sin dash in. So I quick tap my E, so I get a double knock up, meaning they're both now stunned as Darius uses his AoE to deal damage to both of them. I then hook both of them in, meaning they're still stunned while Darius is dealing more damage, and we kill Lee Sin. I believe, yep. Lee Sin is now being ulted by Darius, killing him. By the time this happens, Rakan goes, "Oh, I should stop my recall and help." He gets there, but also our Thresh was pathing down, meaning more CCs come to help us. Camille goes on Darius, but Darius gets a few auto attacks and uses the reset he got off Lee Sin to insta-kill practically Camille, which leaves the support, the enemy Rakan, in a 1v3. Oh, actually a 1v2, sorry. I did not see Darius die to Camille in the last couple of seconds she was alive. But I get a knock-up and a few damage. I hook him once, hook him twice, pull him in for the insta-kill here, for the kill here, which puts us greatly ahead. We took a 2v5 to a 2v2, meaning, since we see Ahri top, and our jungle is alive, whereas their jungle is dead, we now get a free dragon. This all happened by just looking for pick potential, looking for positions where we can get advantages, and looking at which players can beat which enemies. So, that all happened in a quick succession. I'm going to run it back so we can watch what actually happened. We see everyone died here. We fight mid because they overextended, just looking around the map, looking for potential rotates. We get a free kill on the enemy ADC, which actually made it a 3v1 in the end for the dragon. So we see this pick. We attack. I don't use any abilities until Lee Sin dashes in. Lee Sin dashes in. I get a double knock up into a double hook, pulling them together, forcing them to stick together. Darius then insta-kills their Lee Sin, gets a ton of damage off on Camille, but Camille kills him anyway. But we take the kill out on Camille and the Rakan. But since Camille is worth more gold and is a more valuable player than our Darius, it is perfectly fine for our Darius to die to Camille as long as he killed Camille. Technically, that's an advantage for our team. And overall, we come out way ahead because we also get the dragon, which forces our gold now greatly ahead of the enemy's team, just by looking for picks and looking for plays. We use our Rift Herald we got earlier to brute force this mid lane opening up the map, opening up the rotates for our team. We see Thresh and I standing in front to make sure the Jhin ult cannot deal any damage to the Rift Herald or to our Katarina. So we're just standing in front, we absorb all this damage, and we let the Rift Herald charge for a second turret, but it gets killed just in time before it hits the charge, which is very impressive out of the Jhin and the Lee Sin. So what we do is we rotate bot side. We busted the mid, and we're not going to get top as the wave's all the way here. So we go bot. We see our bot lane wave pushing in, making it a prime decision, a prime choice to push down. We see Camille out of position. I'm asking for assistance because the Camille's out of position. I go in, I get a knock up, she dashes away. That's just Camille. That's just the Camille mechanic they have in. So she gets away scot-free, Thresh misses his hook, I tank a few turrets here, and I stand in front to make sure they don't engage on my two important backliners here. I'm making sure as a tank, they can't get past me. So me and Thresh making a wall. He hits a hook on the Jhin. I get charmed, meaning charmed into a root, meaning I can't use any of my abilities, so they walk straight past me into my backline, killing my Jinx, and now my Katarina. For putting me into now a 1v5 as my Darius goes down. And I can't do anything here, so I just die. And we all die. We lose that fight terribly. And that all happened because instead of dancing, instead of moving backwards to help, or to look for this engage that we knew was coming, I stand still and I just let it happen to me. I just let the Rakan charm me for free into the root. Which, this fight was actually my bad, as I should have been pathing backwards, or charging up my engage tool, my E. Charging it up so that I can counter their engage with an engage of my own. But instead I don't, and I let my team die. Which, as a tank, is my fault. And we're going to have to fight back. We're going to have to look for something against that. Okay, so we see Baron's spawning as it's now 20 minutes. Well, about to be 20 minutes because Baron spawns at 20. We know they just wiped us. It's a perfect opportunity for them to do Baron. So, they path to Baron, as predicted. However, we all respawn in time. Well, 4 of us respawn in time. Since I have a huge delay, because not only am I a higher level at this stage of the game than them, I think I'm level 12? I'm not entirely sure, it doesn't show us yet. But my team respawn and they pass straight to Baron to stop it, while I'm still respawning. We're trying to, we see Jinx take the red buff, and our mid lane's getting defended, so we're just giving the dragon for now, but we spot it with a Jinx ult, which gives us a little bit of vision. So we go, we have to fight here. So my team's stepping up, forcing the 4v5 because we can't give the objective for free. We get a good hook on the ADC, Rakan gets a good knock up, and Katarina runs amok in their backline as well as our Darius, while Jinx is absolutely just wailing on the enemy team. We wipe 3 of their players in a matter of couple seconds, just because the Jhin got hooked, and we focus targeted the Jhin. While this is happening, I've pathed from top lane because I had a late spawn. If we go back, I can show you. I path, you see me here. While these guys are fighting, I'm pathing down towards the Baron, because I have to get there for the smite as the Baron's dropping health. So, this fight breaks out, I'm still pathing. The good targeting here, we kill, we get 2 kills, we get 3 kills. You see me jump the wall, I use my E to fly in to zone off the Lee Sin off the Baron. Lee Sin hops over the wall, putting him out of position, which gives me the free smite. Because Lee Sin's now over here, and we see he has no flash, he has no dash, and he's used his Q. Meaning he has no way to get into the pit. So, I get a free smite, which we secure the Baron. As all 5 members get the Baron for free, while Lee Sin threw the fight because he wasn't there. Lee Sin, blast cones over the wall. I use my E to engage, to go all the way over to chase this kill. I don't want him to be alive, so we can push into the enemy base. See my teammates walking here to push. Pushing in, we're shoving the top, we're shoving the mid. This is going to take a while because I'm a tank and he's a damage dealer with lifesteal. But I eventually take him down nonetheless. He goes down, we take away some enemy jungle, and we're pushing mid with Baron. While this is happening, they push a surrender vote, and we win. If they didn't surrender there, they were going to surrender sooner, or we'll just close it out. So we ended up finishing the game with our jungle item, a anti-CC boots, our Gargoyle Stone Plate, and our Warmog's armor to make us extremely tanky and able to frontline for our hyper carries, our Darius, our Jinx, and our Katarina. So through some good positioning, through some good objective control, and correct skirmishing, it was very easy to take the game away from this Lee Sin. We out early gamed the early game jungler on a character that looks to push for mid to late game. This is done, like I said, through some good coordination, through some good objective control, and through correct fighting. This can be easily learnt by just looking to abuse enemies' mistakes. If you can abuse mistakes, you'll win more games. Because if you learn to take away or to if you learn to punish opposing players, you can close games out quicker, as you will have a greater lead over them. Thank you very much for watching my 40-minute video. I know it took a while, but this is the first game I'm going to be recording and talking over, and I hope you can learn something from it. I will be looking at making more in the future if they're good. Feel free to give me some feedback. Thank you very much.